Hey guys, Drifter here. Today I wanted to share with you my review of Battlefield 5. I got to play the entire full game early at DICE Stockholm, which was super fun, and I wanted to share with you my thoughts on the game: good, bad, ugly, super ugly, social justice warrior, all those sort of topics, and we're going to have fun today. I do need to make it very clear in the beginning of this video that it is sponsored by EA and Logitech. The video is sponsored by EA in the sense that they gave me access to the game early, and by Logitech because Logitech paid for my trip from Dallas all the way to Sweden so that I can get to play early. I've been sponsored by Logitech for a super long time now. Anytime I play a PC game, I'm using the Logitech G keyboard and mouse combo, which you can find links to down in the description. So just wanted to tell them thank you for that. It was a super fun trip. I got to go from Dallas all the way to Iceland. Then I got to go to Stockholm, Sweden, and see lots of museums and interesting architecture and experience 4 hours of day of sunlight and fun stuff like that there. But let's pull back on all of that and talk about Battlefield 5, the game. We're primarily going to go from factual with some opinion to largely critical at the end. So if you want to just see the criticisms and bad things about the game, you can skip to the end of the video. So first of all, one thing I do like about Battlefield 5 is that the maps in the final game are way better than any of the beta maps, any of the two, Navarick and Rotterdam. And it's kind of a shame because I didn't really like either of those two maps, especially Rotterdam. And even in the final game, I don't really like Rotterdam that much. However, all the other maps are just fantastic, and I have no idea why DICE didn't show off any of these other maps because they're all really, really good. I'm going to start off with my first personal favorite, which is Twisted Steel. This is the map that you see in the trailer. This is an old steel construction bridge in France that has been bombed by the Germans as they're invading, and you as the French have to hold it or push them back, just kind of depending on the mode you're playing. It's epic. It feels big. The bridge itself is just like that huge bridge in PUBG where everybody comes together to fight and kill each other, and it's super hard to slog your way across. It even reminds me of the Call of Duty map Overpass with the width of it, and it plays really well for Battlefield. So if you want to fight on the bridge, that's just fine because it fights like an arcade game. You have very defined boundaries and cover, and you can jump off if you want to. Below the bridge, there is a very extensive marsh area with nice wet, soft ground you can hear your dudes sloshing around in, little water areas to swim in. It's all vehicle friendly. There's planes going around, planes flying under the planes fly under the bridge all the time because I think there's a resupply point there. They're flying over the bridge. They're flying through the bridge because I'm playing with all the sweaty Battlefield guys that want to show off. And the map was super fun. No part of this map was not fun in Conquest mode. It played fantastic in Conquest. I loved it. Grand Operations, significantly less so because of the nature of forcing people into little clusters. It actually got too clustery and too tight for my taste on this particular map. But overall, it was my favorite to play. My second favorite map, and it's a very close second, is another map based in France. It's called Arras, and I think it's the most beautiful Battlefield map I've ever played. It's in the French countryside. It's largely a tank map for probably about 80% of it, because you have big open fields, just metric tons of tanks. I think 7 for each side spawn, at least in what we did. There are planes and stuff, but it's tank and counter tank map. It's French tanks versus German tanks, and there's infantry battles around a couple of key locations. There's a couple of small towns. There's a farm. There's a very notable church where snipers can go sit in the bell tower, but of course you can blow the bell tower up with a tank and crush everybody below it. And my personal favorite part of this map is there's this high grass kind of flower field that you can prone out and crawl through and sneak around in. I had a ton of fun crawling around in the grass, hunting down Germans that were trying to invade and stuff, and it felt like a big Battlefield map to me. It really felt like a Battlefield map, whereas the other ones did not. Another good map is Aerodrome. It's a bombed German airfield, kind of smaller compared to other Battlefield maps, a little bit more arcadey too, more square and more defined boundaries, but it's fun. It's got big outdoor fights. It's got inside in the hangars you can drive vehicles through and create all kind of chaos. I had a lot of fun with Aerodrome. There's Fail 652, which I think is where they're invading Norway or something. I'm not sure. It's just snowy and cold. And this is the very last part of Grand Operations for Navarick. If you make it this far, you play a mode called Final Stand, where everybody spawns with exactly one clip of ammo, and you just fight till the last man standing. It's kind of like a poor man's battle royale. You have 30 people on either side, and the snowstorm just slowly like closes in around you until one team lives and the other one is dead. I loved playing it. Hamada is a good map. That's the North African campaign map. It's good if you like sniping in vehicles. The map is ludicrously big. It's like super big. So if you like doing tank battles, if you like sniping people and flying planes and doing a lot of running, that's fine. If you want like close quarters, chaotic combat action, you're not going to have a lot of fun on Hamada. And the two beta maps, Rotterdam and Navarick, I don't think very much of. I didn't really enjoy them very much, at least not even remotely compared to the other ones, so I'll probably be avoiding them when the full game comes out. Devastation is Rotterdam again, but after it's been bombed severely, so it's a similar map just post-bombing. Didn't like that one either. Don't know why. Just the urban combat just wasn't really appealing to me with this sort of meta and balance, which moving on to is our next topic. I want to talk about the current meta and balance of the final game, or at least the final game supposedly that we got to play. I know there'll be small patches before going live. First of all, you get to carry more starting ammo for assault rifles and a little bit more for submachine guns, so you're not super dependent on having to find an ammo depot before you go fight people or to find a support guy. LMGs and snipers now start with maximum ammo, so they're not dependent on resupplying very much at all, which is good. I think that was one of the most frustrating things about the beta, is always trying to find ammo. There is an easier and more consistent self-heal system now. You basically carry one self-heal, and you can use it to heal yourself up to a certain point, which is indicated on the health bar by the, I guess, somewhat translucent health. You can see what you can heal up to, but finding a med station or getting a heal from a medic or a revive will take you back up to full. So that's good. You have more freedom of movement, you're less restricted and micromanaging your ammo and resources and stuff like that. You can go do a battlefield, you can fight people. However, there was a cost to this, and it was the exact cost that I was afraid was going to happen, which is the weapons in general are less accurate than they were in the beta. At least I believe so. I had a much more difficult time using them and killing people within them of any class, regardless. I know the assault rifles are strong, but even they felt like they had a higher recoil and were generally less predictable when aiming down sights with them, which for me was very frustrating because I've been playing a lot of like Call of Duty on PC, so I'm just used to just like laser spraying people, right? It could be because I'm playing against a whole bunch of other hyper-competitive Battlefield people and PC players, and it wasn't like E3 where we beat up on the mobile guys, or at home where you're kind of killing casuals. Everybody there was a super good Battlefield player, so it may be something like that got me and made me feel that they're worse, but I'm pretty sure that all of the guns kicked more and the bullets had more off-sight sway or less accuracy than they did in the beta. Unfortunately, SMGs are now almost unusable. They're just weak now, especially compared to the assault rifles. I feel like if I sneak up behind a guy with an assault rifle and start shooting him, more often than not, he will still have enough time to turn around and kill me. I think even the really sweaty Battlefield players all agreed that SMGs are almost not usable. So if you play a medic, you're playing revive guy only, and use your SMGs when you're desperate. I just hip-fired most of them because there's not even a point in aiming down sights. Assault rifles still dominate, but a little bit less so, at least compared to the LMGs. Some of the LMGs are super strong. The FG42, the KE7, and the M60 is really nasty when you mount it on something. Not M60, the MG42. When you mount it on something, it's super strong. Otherwise, it's kind of cheeks. ARs are still the way to go, dude. Using something like a Gewehr, M1A1, the Sturmgewehr, or the good old STG-44, those are hyper-dominant weapons. The Subslider I also enjoyed, but I don't think that's going to be out until DLC. Shotguns are fully in the game. They're both pretty filthy. There's a automatic shotgun and a double barrel. The double barrel is a one-shot wonder most of the time, and you can also shoot a slug out of it, though that oddly doesn't one-shot people for whatever reason. I ended up liking the auto shotgun a little better. It was just kind of easy to spray. They were kind of filthy. Snipers are about the same from the beta. And overall, I did not like the gunplay in the final build of the game. It just felt less consistent than before. I don't know if it was something to do with the ballistics. I do believe it had something to do with the recoil and some of the damage changes, especially with submachine guns. But I really did not enjoy gunfights in the final build of the game, which is sad because that was my absolute favorite thing about the Battlefield 5 beta. I thought the Battlefield 5 beta had better gunplay than any Battlefield game since maybe like Battlefield 3 or Bad Company, but now that's kind of taken a step backwards. And one other thing to throw in here, just for clarification reasons, I have a suspicion that there's a problem with the time to die, and I heard other Battlefield YouTubers talking about it. Normally when you look at weapons, you talk about time to kill. how long it takes you to kill an enemy. We talk about TTK on in-depth. So time to die and time to kill should be identical. However, given some networking concerns and input processing delays, and generally how the engine treats damage input on your end, how quickly it loads the hits, how much feedback you get on your screen, how much you feel or don't feel the input, it can feel that your time to die is very, very fast. You also don't fall over, you just go straight to that screen super quickly. It's just kind of annoying. So in many gunfights, I felt cheated. I felt that I shot somebody first and that I got 5 hits on, and then I just fell over and died. I felt like people were way more accurate than me, no matter what I did, and that I would just go into a gunfight and just die for no reason. Hipfire, ADS, I felt massively disadvantaged. And I'll admit that I was playing against really good people that primarily play Battlefield for a living, so I'm disadvantaged, but I play PC games. I play PUBG, I play Blackout on PC. I was almost in Masters in Overwatch before I decided to let that go. I think I stopped at 3,400, and I played hit scans, so I know how to aim on PC, but it just wasn't happening here, and I was dying really fast. So I think that there was something wrong with the time to die or the damage input system that made me feel like I was getting cheated in gunfights when that may not have been the case. Some other things about general movement and systems. It seems like the vaulting got worse somehow. It was just really easy to vault or overvault or to vault onto the wrong things. It's still a better mechanic than previous Battlefield games where it was really hard to climb and maneuver and you were always playing little weird Minecrafty parkour games on rocks and tanks, but the vaulting system seems a little spastic. It just seems to want to vault all the time now, vault on anything. The revive system is improved. It's less annoying, it's less obtrusive, my character doesn't scream as much, it's easier to tell who's getting revived and who isn't, and I get a choice to get revived quickly or just timeout to the screen, and the timeout to the screen is really fast, so I can get back into the spawn way faster, which I enjoy. And one petty problem I have is that I can't melee smash windows. In Battlefield 1, if I had a big, depending on the melee weapon I had, knives wouldn't do it, but if you had a club or a hatchet or something, and you were looking at a window, you could just smack the window with your hatchet and just bust the thing out, which was useful for mounting machine guns or, doing cover. For whatever reason in Battlefield 5, I can't use my giant cricket bat to bust out a window. I either have to use my ammo, which is precious, to shoot out the window, or have to walk up to the window, unlatch it, and open it, which seems unnecessary. I wish I could just kind of melee smash them. Moving along, vehicles are now more prevalent on all of the new maps. For whatever reason, the beta ones didn't have that many, but all of the new maps are very vehicle heavy. There'll be a lot more vehicular combat, which to me feels more like a Battlefield game. And I think a lot of the hardcore Battlefield guys really enjoy being infantry and racking up kills in the same way that most COD and Overwatch players and do stuff. But in general, casual people like me think about Battlefield as a big crazy game with tanks and vehicles and flying around and hitting jumps and just doing dumb things. There's way more opportunities to do dumb things now. We have some Volkswagen German car, we have faster vehicles, we have the little trikes, we have way more tanks and planes, and we just have a lot more fun vehicular stuff. So to me it feels more like Battlefield. There's also a lot of interesting meta with vehicles and their upgrades. Do you want armor? Do you want anti-tank? Do you want infantry? Do you want a smoke screen? Do you want to be able to lay mines? You spot somebody that you see for your team. So many different things. What's the best way to kill an infantry? Which infantries can kill vehicles? It's primarily support and assault, but everybody has a little something. Grenades now hurt the tanks, which is nice. And the airplane meta is largely unchanged from Battlefield 1 and previous Battlefield games. The little nimble fighter planes are just better. If there's idiots on the other team, you can fly around a bomber, and bombers are downright filthy when you're dropping 2,000-pound bombs and just flattening whole buildings. But at least in the game I played with everybody being very good, you were not going to live in a bomber. Even a bomber that was fully kitted with, support gunners and stuff, you just weren't going to survive the onslaught of these top-tier world's best pilots. So that's mostly about the gameplay. The next part of this is going to be talking about EA and DICE and sort of business access model. Because the overall sales and access model and DLC model of Battlefield 5, in my opinion, is way better than most games, especially most AAA games. As it is right now, if you buy the game for $60, you get the entire game, you get free DLC for everybody. Anybody who owns Battlefield, you all get free DLC maps, that is. You get every DLC mode, every new event they add. The actual gameplay part of the game is included. As far as I'm aware, there's no paid cosmetics either. You either earn them doing challenges or you save up your company credits, and that's it. You can't buy cosmetics, which is nice. So the people that have good cosmetics, you'll know they play a lot or they earned it. And if you go and buy the game through Origin Access, then you get stuff, I think it's like 4 or 5 days, maybe a week early. But it's not that early. It's not like the old COD thing where like PlayStation would have to wait a month and then Xbox had to wait a month. You just get it a couple of days early, which is nice, and it's not that big of a deal to me. So overall, EA is doing a very consumer-friendly access model here, more so than EA or any major AAA gaming company has done in a super, super long time, probably to compete with Fortnite. But there is a downside to this long-term access model, and that is, I don't think we're quite getting the full game on launch, and it seems like the best stuff about the game is going to be coming after launch. As you can tell, we're clearly moving to the criticism part here, but War Stories in Battlefield 5, which is essentially the campaign, you'll have like a campaign mission, you'll have a multiplayer map and challenge to play through, typically a new map to play as well, and I don't believe we were allowed to record or post any gameplay of the War Stories maps we played, with cutscenes and bonus modes and stuff, which is essentially the campaign of the game and allows you to play through sort of the story of World War II. And they talked about maybe not doing it real time, but they talked about doing a whole campaign where you play through each part of the war. Is nice. It's a good addition, and it's constantly new content that drops every month or two, which is kind of like the Fortnite model or any of the new Battle Royale games. It's just constant flow of content, and that's great, but it doesn't start until December. So that's almost a month away before you get the main meat of the game. Okay, great. And as a part of War Stories, there's a new mode dropping, I believe, in late January, which is great, but I kind of wish that mode was available on launch. I know that the Final Stand mode for the Grand Operations in Fjell 652, the snowstorm thing, is a super fun mode, but that's only going to be available only if you complete that Grand Operation in a certain way and kind of go into overtime. You can't just go play Final Stand, which sucks, but I know that is a mode that's coming later, I think in maybe like February. Then finally in March, we get Battle Royale. The game is going to launch without Battle Royale, and it's not going to have Battle Royale for 4 to 5 months later, which to me is just ludicrous because I want to play Battle Royale. Battle Royale is a whole entirely new mode. It's hot, it's juicy, it's sexy, it's what gamers want right now, but I have to wait for it. And a small petty thing, I liked most of the DLC weapons better than the regular ones. There were a few DLC guns in the build of the game that I was able to access, and I just kind of liked those better. I wish I could have those on launch. I'm not sure if the ray tracing or RTX graphics are going to be available for launch. I know that they were not available in the build of the game that we played like 3 or 4 days ago, so I have no idea if the RTX is going to be available for launch, so all you 2080 guys may be getting screwed. And I wish more of the game would come out now, but DICE and EA is planning Battlefield 5 as a service model. They're planning it more in line with the Overwatch or the Rainbow Six Siege model, where you buy the game for a price and then you get super long-term support. And part of that is waiting for stuff. I don't want to wait. I just want to play all the neat stuff now instead of having to wait 4, 5, 6 months, whatever. And that's kind of, I believe, going to be the story of Battlefield 5, especially considering the political aspects involved in it with women soldiers and the backlash and the gaming community. And, obviously it's got low pre-orders and there's some rough stuff. I believe it's going to be like Battlefield 4. If you remember, Battlefield 4 is debatably one of the best Battlefield games, but it launched in a really broken, nearly unplayable state. But 6 or 7 months after launch, it was finally patched up and it was a super good game and had super good DLC and it was fun to play, but it was almost too late. But it did continue to grow and get better over time, and more of the player base came back, and that's kind of what I'm expecting with Battlefield 5. I'm expecting a rough launch for Battlefield 5, but as they continue their service model and start adding in game modes that people want and updating things and slowly pulling more people in and discounting the price, I expect the player base to actually grow over time. Guys, that is it for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something useful. I hope you enjoyed my review, criticism, whatever. You can check out Battlefield 5 on EA Origin. You can go get the same Logitech keyboard and mouse that I play with in this video, or pretty much all of my videos down there in the description. And of course, you could subscribe. Drifter out.